It is Friday. Friday. And
Morning.
here.
And
I've got
as the
Pepper.
show begins, my NDA work decides to finally get back to me on
After
Monday.
all this discussion about how, well, a lot of people were following here. So we were
Basically,
just discovering that we're both working on Duolingo. So,
yes. But I think our motivations are different. For me, Duolingo, artistically, I follow a lot of French artists and I want to buy their products. So I'm trying to learn so that I can actually comprehend their comics because they're not being done in English.
okay.
Hey, Brent.
Brent. I'm claiming all of my gems here because I'm trying to clean out all. Uh, well, the reason I'm doing Duolingo is because I'm losing my Japanese, as Asuka was so keen to tell me the other day. She was all about that. She was like, "Your Japanese sucks." So I liked her. Your Japanese is horrible. So I'm going to speak to you only in Japanese. I don't speak French. I speak Japanese. And actually, I started doing Korean. That's really hard, and I need to concentrate. And so, anyway, there we go.
So there is a there is a video where a native Korean speaker tests Duolingo on how the language actually is versus on how they're teaching it on YouTube.
Okay.
Um,
Well, and I mean, really, honestly, Duolingo hasn't been that bad as far as um, Japanese goes.
well, the thing is what he was saying is like basically, um, and I think I was seeing this more in the
Languages.
East Asian, Asian Pacific,
Hmm.
and that area of the world when they're teaching the languages. They teach the languages in the sense of what they think makes sense.
Hmm. I
Uh,
did notice that this morning. I made a mistake, which I didn't think I made a mistake really, because it was doing it. It had skipped over a language construct in Japanese. It
yeah,
skipped the language construct, and I noticed that it gave me two of the ideographic characters because Japanese uses ideograms, sort of like pictograms.
hmm
Um, but the pronunciation of those pictograms changes depending on whether they're used as a compound or whether they're used individually. And
right,
the speaker, because you know how Duolingo works. It says, trans or what did you hear? And you click the button and they say something in Japanese, and you have to click all the little words down at the bottom to
yeah,
fill out the sentence.
yeah,
Well, in this instance, they were using hitori, which is by yourself. Um,
hmm
except that the character that they use is one, which is ichi, and hito, which is person. Makes total sense. Together, they form by yourself or solo, if you will.
yeah,
One person, right? Makes complete sense. But the guy said hitori, right? And down there at the bottom, it has ichi hito. And I'm like,
right.
do I put Ichihito in there? Because he didn't say Ichihito. And I know that they're going to ding me one way or the other on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of
And I
like
chose poorly. I clicked the one and it was like, you lost a heart. And I'm like, really?
yeah. So I actually bit the bullet and I paid for it for a year.
Oh, that's not bad.
Uh,
There's nothing wrong
um,
with that.
no,
Try it again.
And I want to say that French is I okay, so French is like kind of in between, at least sentence structure wise. It's in between Spanish and English. So there are times where the sentence is set up exactly like in English, but then there are times that the whole entire thing. Ooh, nice, Brent. Um,
He's like,
then
I'm
there
not
are
paying
times,
for Duolingo. I'm going to pay for a month of WoW.
yeah. Then there are times in the language when I'm like going through everything. I'm trying to make sure that I have everything like all set in my mind, and then it goes all backwards because it depends on how you're supposed to be talking to the person, or basically the formal versus informal speak. And they don't do just one type of version of French. They do like the French that is like literally they'll jump from informal to formal between each part of the lesson. And sometimes it's really confusing for me. Other times I just flow with it. I notice that if I do my lessons in the morning, my brain's more function
Mm-hmm.
to align with doing French because it's like, woo. But I have to actually be in that mode of trying to learn it.
Right. Oh, we don't
Um,
even have Brent watching, I'm noticing. This is another one of those mornings. Sorry.
no.
Keep going. You're fine. I just
um,
noticed that we have 0 viewers except Brent's talking.
yeah. Um, so it is a little bit weird because like when I was trying to figure out, okay, like, am I doing this correctly or if I'm doing this properly? Um, I noticed that when I talked to one of my friends who is a native French speaker, and I asked her about this question, she basically was like, "Yeah, that's like a direct thing. That's not on how an actual French person would talk."
Right.
Um, because they're trying to depict that we're learning Parisian French, um, and uh, and they're getting better, but you
Good
know,
morning, Booma. You
all of
are apparently our only viewer because apparently Brent does not exist. He's a ghost. So he's making ghost sounds over there. Ooh.
but what it has been very good for me at least, is reading and writing
Yeah.
French. Reading it is not my issue. I can read it and understand what I'm reading so far. My problem is sentence structure and enunciations.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. Well, and French, of course, is that's part of it is that it's with
It's a lot of
French, it's pretty close to English,
it's also a
relatively
lot
speaking.
of it's also a lot of nasal sounds.
Yep. Brent
Yeah.
is a hologram, audio only. He's a monolith. He's a monolith with audio or with sound only written on him. Um, there was a deep cut Evangelion reference, which Booma gets. Actually, I think everybody gets, but still. Okay, so back to the things that I've been working on since the beginning here. Um, I am working on, and I'm gonna real quickly make sure that we're saving this as Clip Studio format because we're not done yet. I am not baking my um my pages yet. Just yet. Just yet. So I have noticed a couple of interesting things about workflow.
Hmm.
Not the least of which is I really like doing things this way. with the drawings like this, where I've got them set up where I can draw them each individual frame or each individual page in sort of an overview-esque look. I really like that.
Okay.
It makes for a much better and do not fire the torpedoes. When it makes for a much cleaner and easier way for me to interactively do the story.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm just coming to the conclusion as time has gone on that scripting is not a thing I do. I can rough script, but even that I'm discovering is better done on this page. So this is my script, and I'm just learning to accept that. This is the way it's going to be. I don't script, apparently. So, because I've been going through and all I've been doing is just refining scenes and making them better and cleaner. The big one that was a problem was that I had a 2-page scene right here on page 7 and 8 where the originally it was they were going to talk about the synthetics and stuff like that. But I kind of also realized that in the first 16 pages of this comic, looking at it from an overview, we mentioned what their mission was exactly once. And it was a throwaway line. So it's kind of like, our mission is to do this thing. Anyway, let's go to these other parts of the story. Other parts of the story. Oh, we solved our mission. And other parts of the story, it's kind of like, I felt like we should do a little bit more engagement about what their mission is to kind of give an idea of why they're flying to this planet and what the story is behind it and all kinds of stuff. So that was what I was doing last night with Kai doing his homework because that was a thing. And I just had to kind of... Anyway, it didn't matter. I sat over here and rewrote this 2-page scene. And this is the one that starts with, so Skippy. And she goes, not Skippy. Okay, Skip, not Skip. And she goes, so Bennett says, are you okay? And, and that's when Chang says, I just don't sleep well when we're on the other side, when we're in space transition. So then I realized that Bennett's asking a question. She's starting to ask a question. So I have her say, so it's killing me. What is a senator doing way out here, right? And Chang says, it's election time, Angie. The babies won't kiss themselves. And, and so Bennett's like, yeah, but Moment is like 4 people and a cow, perhaps 2 cows, right? And this actually led me to solve like 12 or 13 different problems. Because then Chang says, well, Moment's the only world with an actual O2N2 atmosphere in the entire Unity. And so Bennett goes, okay, so it's very friendly to human beings. And Chang says, unmodified humans, Luddites, the people who don't want to integrate into the Unity. And she goes, the Commonwealth would love to take Moment from us. And nothing speaks to Luddites like the principles of the Commonwealth. And so Bennett goes, and that's why some dude will travel 2 weeks in space. And Chang goes, and that's why I need more coffee. I don't envy our pilot, though. Moment is a rough system to transition to, which then allows me to go into the pilot getting into the pilot house over here and and all of those things. So, but that solved a number of little nibbly problems that were kind of showing up all over. So, they're talking about why they're coming and picking up the senator. Why is the senator on Moment? Why is Moment out in the middle of nowhere? This planet out in the middle of nowhere. But more importantly, now I've set up a couple of things. One, the red herring for the Luddite, because later when we pick up Alex, I wanted to kind of give this red herring that she's maybe she all of her DNA problems can be chalked up to her being a Luddite. The reason she can't breathe the ship's atmosphere, because that's a genetic modification. humans are modified in the Unity to breathe oxygen CO2 mixtures so that
Mhm.
they can breathe the same, so they can breathe an atmosphere that the Shakrana can breathe. So that's really kind of the idea behind it. And Najor, I think, is actually really the race that needs to breathe it is the Najor. Shakrana are live in vacuum, so they don't care. And the Jassine are usually in a spacesuit, so it's the Najor that need to breathe the CO2. So the humans are modified to breathe oxygen CO2 mixtures. So they're genetically modified. She can't. So Alex can't breathe the ship's atmosphere. So the
Mhm.
whole point is the reason she was put on Moment is it's the only planet that has an O2N2 atmosphere. So like
Mhm.
Earth has an Earth-like atmosphere. So that's an important thing here at the very end, because at the very end of the story now, it's I was looking at her DNA and it hasn't been modified. There's not a single modification.
Okay.
And of course they're like, well, maybe that's because she's a Luddite. No modifications, right? And he's like, well, maybe, but there's also no genetic drift, because all of the humans came from one batch of 65,000 people. And
Right.
she's outside that batch. So there's no drift. And then she keeps mumbling something too. And then it was, what's she mumbling? And I don't know. I've never heard the language before. So I called in Ensign Escalado, which is the AI, and he identified it regularly. She's speaking flawless, unaccented 21st century English. And I thought that's the bam right there. That's the hit at the end of this comic that makes it a great cliffhanger.
Right.
So they've got this girl, and she's got no DNA drift, which they think makes her a Luddite because we've mentioned Luddites before in the story. Um, so usually, Booma, I'm doing a more integrated story where they're all working the same mission statement. So there's not usually an A B on this. My A story is a huge over arc, which is going to go over all 25 or 30 episodes of Bellatrix Rising. And that's this arc of what's going on with Alex. That's the big A story. And it takes up all of episode 1 to establish the story, and then once they do, it's going to be the subplot of all of the other episodes, and it'll continue on through the arc until the end of this arc, whatever the end of Alex's arc is.
Mhm.
But anyway, the long and the short of it is I really like this format that I'm using for planning out this episode, because at first I was just going to draw the panels in and then write the script in a Word document and do that. But this is deviated so far off of the Word document, and this is such a tighter story. Yeah, my A story is actually my B story. This is the A story that sets up the B story. There we go. But this format, being able to do on this piece of paper like this one piece, is extraordinarily useful. And it's been so cool because I've been able to go, oh, I don't want dialogue through here. Like this entire section wouldn't be dialogue. This would be just something else going on, And that wouldn't work as well. Like this page now that I was doing whenever we first got here is, we came out of, hey, what happened, Gravitics? And it looks like we hit a brain ridge, sir. And then, this is our sergeant guy, and he goes, we seem to have glanced the ridge, though. And then, knowing that I'm going to go into technobabble, I'm like, well, we've got to figure out how to say the technobabble so it sounds like they know what they're talking about, but you understand what they're saying. So Chang says, Pilot House Bridge, Mayrail, did you slip up? Did you make a mistake? And then that's when I get, okay, now Mayriel can, techno babble. I don't think so, sir. It's almost like we jumped point care translations. We dropped an entire Minkowski frame. There. Now she said her, techno babble, da 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 da. And then we cut back and Chang says, that sounds like a bad navigation calculation, Lieutenant. Right? Like, hey, did you screw up your math? Like that's a simple thing you can understand.
Yeah.
And then she goes, Skipper, I promise I checked them twice. I even had Sergeant Pan check them. And then Gravitix comes in and says, Bridge Gravitix, I can confirm something isn't right here. I can't see the moment's beacon either. The entire system looks dark, right? And then cuts back to Chang, and Chang says, well, we're out in the boonies, Sergeant. We might not see the beacon until we get into the blender. And then she says, what do you think, Lieutenant? And then that's when we come back over here, and she says, I can fly an instrument, sir. It'll be rough, but I can do it. And then, all right, Lieutenant, we're buttoned up, so take us in. And then I, sir, 140 light hours out, entering the blender. And then we get check, and then sha, and we do like all the graphics thing to show the ship going into the blender, 20 light hours, 2 minutes to subluminal, we show this, we show, various sensors blinking and things moving and stuff like that. And then the ship comes out of in space and into normal space.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Booma, I'm not discounting you at all, my friend. Not discounting you or your experience. Just simply that comics have a different flow, and it's harder to do ABs in comics than it is to do them in television because of the flow. Because I've got different hold points and stop points, and I've got to be able to keep moving the story each page, and I can't stall out as much. So there's a little bit more of an urgency to the writing because it's smaller, and that's all. So it's not that you're wrong at all. It's just it is easier to do this flow and hold the stories sort of in their same method. Oh, I see. You're offering help. I'm like sitting there going, I'm not discounting what you're saying, Booma. Booma, I can send you this when you're done if you want to give me. I mean, it's a 600 DPI 1-page JPEG. If you want to look it over, I will take any feedback. I'm cleaning it up so that we don't have just holes in here, because a couple of these pages have just right now, like here's no one talking. So I'm going through and I'm cleaning it up so it doesn't have holes in it anymore. Because this quite literally came from the script. And so it's the only piece left that's saying refer to your script. And so I'm just going to transfer the words from the script into here direct and hold it. But yeah, what I'll do is when I'm done with this second pass, if you'd like, I will send you this page and you can go through and do whatever you want. Make all the suggestions and everything like that. I make one statement though, and that is I have a feel that I'm headed for. So like Brian was coming down here and making some comments specifically about this exchange with Skippy, and he really wanted her to be like more agitated. He wanted Chang to be more agitated, but she's exhausted. And so she hates this, and she hates running an in space, and she hates running an in space for a long time, and it messes up her sleep schedule. So I rejected what he said, even though he had good points. So I reserve the right to reject. If that makes any sense. I've been talking nonstop, my friend. Didn't mean to talk you out over here.
Sorry. I've worked with some editors where one editor that I had basically was like, no, you need to change this. This doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it does make sense later on. and they're like, "No, you need to change this now," and I'm like, "No," and they're like, "I'm your editor. You're supposed to do what I say," and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
"You're fired."
Right. I was going to say, that's not going to end well.
No, it's pertinent to the story. It's a sound effect, and it's the only way to do the sound effect because there's no true word for the sound.
I have been having so much fun with sound effects.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you can get away with murder with sound effects. And when you're having a
Literally. Did
person,
you just go squishy, 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 squishy?
exactly, you know, but also at the same time, like, I'm trying to depict someone speaking while eating,
Oh, yeah.
and it's not supposed to be coherent.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
supposed to sound like gobbledygook. And this person just didn't get it. Didn't get it. No, the current editor that I work with, yeah, she gives me several options now, but she
Oh, yeah.
also,
All I'm saying really to Booma is, yeah, exactly. I, as long as it won't stress you out if I do none of them, let's just say, as an example. If that doesn't stress you out, I am more than happy to take any advice. I just sometimes I got nothing. I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm good.
yeah,
You know,
I mean,
I'm
furry baby.
Yep, here we go.
Um, but no, I mean, what I mean is like, first, I usually have to pick an editor that will have to understand how my story is, and if they're not like if they don't read the genre that I'm writing, or they have no familiarity with it, then it makes it twice as hard.
I have a
um,
Bible.
yeah,
It's
techno babble book. Most of mine are not tech based, so I don't have to do a techno babble book.
I think he's asking whether if I give him this to edit, can he check my technobabble?
Ah,
Is what
which,
his.
for the most part, guys, technobabble is pretty logical and explainable. So yeah, I think anyone can actually understand it.
Well, that thank you. I mean, that actually is a wonderful compliment. Most of
Well,
the hi
I
George.
mean, it's along the same lines as if you're watching Star Trek. So
Well, I did. I mean, obviously, born and bred on Star Trek. So
yeah,
you come up here, George. I'll give you scritches, or you can scratch my feet. I guess that's just a thing. I don't know. You're just a weird cat. Weird cat. Um, but yeah, the I try to make it the you've written well, and it's true. I've written just trees and forest issues. So Brent's comment is because my star maps are literally accurate to about 2 parsecs to what's really out there. But it took frickin' 3 months of math to get all of that squared away so that my star maps are literally accurate to 3 parsecs. So that's what he means by trees and forest, is that I didn't just go and take a map and then just put a whole bunch of dots on it and say this one's this star and that's that star. I went and actually found all the stars that are around the star Bellatrix, which is the left shoulder of Orion. Um, and I found all the stars that are around that spot there and made that into the unity. So each and every one of the stars in the unity is an actual star that does actually exist. And so, but it took 3 months of math and screwed up math and aggravating math. And I was mad. And
yeah.
at some point, Brent's like, you need to stop. That's what he's referring to. This one.
I
He
think
was
pretty
not
much.
wrong.
I think pretty much all of your friends are like that.
Yeah, you were all like, you gotta stop. You got to stop. But my star maps are done and I'm happy. And they're cooked. They're baked now. So when Gaia does another pass in that zone and updates all the stars in there and everything moves 5 parsecs to the left, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm leaving it all alone. It's cooked. What the star maps say is what the star maps say. So there. Baked is right. A plethora of math. Do you know what a plethora means? Because I wouldn't want one of my most important people to not know what a plethora is.
I know what a plethora is.
Well, see, Donald's quoting a movie, and I'm finishing the quote for him. So that's what it is. Yeah, it's one of those things where if I ever feel bad, you can just come up to me and say plethora, and I'll say thanks. That means a lot.
Okay.
And that's how I got banned from my own show.
Die.
It's a thing.
You're making too many dad jokes this morning, man. Too many.
Oh yeah.
You know what's really funny is we don't have anyone else joining us today so far.
I'm noticing that because you want to go get your breakfast and we can't let you go until
someone else gets here.
Somebody else gets here.
And what's funny is someone made the comment to post a new link. And you did.
Just for that somebody. Wait, wasn't that somebody you?
Nope.
Oh.
I have the links. I have the link to get into the show right on my desktop.
There you go.
I don't use.
I'm going to be really mad if all of a sudden Restream starts shuffling links because I love that part. That's the thing I just adore about this is because I know that StreamYard shuffles the links.
Yeah, it's per show.
It's per show on StreamYard. For here, it's always this place is always the same link. So. Okay, so yeah, Pepper is always organized. That's okay. I don't mind reposting every so often. I think the idea that Brian was after was, because I think it's Brian that asked, was that it would probably encourage Raph or Colton for joining.
Well, it's also Friday.
Oh, that's right. We've got to talk about this because starting next week, we're flipping to nights.
Yeah.
There are two things that I've decided. One, I think we should move Artist Friday to Artist Monday. That way we can talk about what are we doing this week instead of what did we do this week.
Right.
Two, I'm going to continue doing the day show, but it's going to be my show just by itself. And then the night show will be the Quasar Art Collective. That way it'll be our show and not my show specific.
Okay.
But that means that I want to start thinking about how to do things like credits and stuff like that. So we have different credits. I'm going to make new credits this weekend for us that are not guy specific because right now the credits are very guy specific.
Yeah, your show is a little bit self-serving.
It is very self-serving. Well, and I mean, once we get to the point where we're Quasar Art Collective.
By the way, that's a joke, folks. Please don't.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. But there is another problem. I don't have enough spots left on my Restream account to hook up to anybody but my stuff. So we're going to have to either pool money together to move up to one more tier on Restream or figure out how to just reboost or something.
What do you mean?
Well, I can only have X number of locations on my stream at the $20 level.
What
I
do you
was
mean
at the $50 level, but then we wanted to save some money, so
what are you talking about? Like I'm having a hard time grasping.
like I'm broadcasting to GS Davis Art on everything.
Okay.
If it's the Quasar Art Collective, we probably ought to at least include the Quasar Art Collective page.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, that
And
would.
like, I mean, does Raph want to broadcast out on his station? Oh, like on his page? Do you want to broadcast on your Facebook page? You know what I mean? Like, if anybody wants to add to the broadcast spots, we're going to have to come up with a different plan because we can add them to Restream. It doesn't care who you add or what
Yeah.
channels you add to it. But it's all right now set for GS Davis Arts pages. So I'm going out on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch on my channels.
Right.
You want to add your channels, we've got to come up with I've maxed all my spots out. So in other words, to add, let's say, Pepper DeLuca's page, I'd have to unhook my Twitch account or unhook
Right.
my Twitter account. So that's what I'm saying is I've got the ability, and if nobody cares, then we'll just keep going. But if people care, we're going to probably have to talk about whether we go back up to the $50 range where we can add more pages
Right.
to the broadcast. Howdy, Andrew. Good
Howdy.
to see you. So anyway, through May, I'm going to continue. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. My gum itches a little. I hate that. Like, my gum itches. And I'm worried because they put a temporary in because they had to, of course, they have to send it off to the lab to make a new crown. And so they put in a temporary, and then she's like, okay, remember, don't eat anything crunchy or anything soft or anything hard or anything squishy or anything. And I'm like, that's like everything.
Don't eat
I'm not
any.
allowed to eat anything. We got Hone in trouble somehow. I don't know how we got Hone in trouble. We got Hone busted. Sorry, Hone. By the way, that's not the first time. I mean, Pepper's gotten me busted with my wife, and I've gotten Pepper busted with Bill before, so it's all good. You just welcome to the family. We apparently get ourselves busted with our buddies all the time. It's the way.
Well, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I wasn't on the
whatever
show.
it is, we did it, and we own up to it. We're willing to admit it. So,
Well, I hope that produces something very good. What I just did. I'm sorry, folks. I'm like working while listening to Guy talk and everything. I'm on a tight deadline this morning, but
you're in a very
so long as I'm working, I don't technically have to be off stream. So long as you guys don't see what I'm working on, I'm good.
Yeah, it's okay. I got some splaining to do.
Yeah.
Just
No.
hi, you're in the office. It's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, Andrew.
Good. Nice seeing you. That you popped
I added more lines to your pseudo character.
Are you talking to Andrew's?
Yeah, Andrew.
Character that you said that you were
Andrew used to go by the nickname Sarge a long time ago. So see you later. And nowadays he just goes by Andrew. But back in the day he used to go by Sarge. So I added Sarge in here, and it's sort of a nod. They're not necessarily the same character, but I still think it's kind of cool.
Do you have anyone waiting, Guy?
No.
No.
Is somebody saying that they're waiting?
No. I'm gonna go in and be like, "Where the hell are you?"
Yeah, people. Well, we should get Brian in the next 15 minutes or so. Because he comes in usually at the second hour.
Brent, you want to be on the show today?
Yeah, you want to join us? You think that's a good idea? I'm not opposed. By the way, Lily on Duolingo cracks me up.
Oh,
And
goth,
yeah. And I
goth.
think funny as all get out that Lily is the same in every language. Like
Yes.
the voice actress that they get for each language, they tell her, okay, you have to sound like you're unimpressed with anything.
Well, and then
So
so I know in the French language courses, Lily's best friend is Zari, and
yeah,
Zari is like
super inky and
super bubbly,
way
like
over the top.
poppy.
It's
Yeah.
very funny. Oh,
Um,
there should be a Booma character. You know, it could happen.
yeah. Now,
Actually, Booma sounds like a Shakrana name. So I actually could have a character named Booma. And I think I will. I will have a Shakrana on the ship named Booma. Because that definitely sounds like a Shakrana name. That's the three-legged sort of tortoise guys with the eye stalks.
mhm.
So which is also what Sarge is. He's a Shakrana as well.
um,
This
okay.
guy. Oh, three-legged dude with eye stalks. Oh, it's a spam risk, guys. What do you think? Should I answer it?
On that note, I'm gonna go get my drink.
Go get lunch. And I will just maximize my page and shrink you. Was turtle, huh? I'll move me up here. And we'll just watch me do this for a bit. And I'll keep going and he can go get breakfast. Okay. So moving right along. So Hone, check it. I got 32 pages drafted here. All 32 pages of my first comic are in this, are right here. Saying that so that, we can all party together. It took a while. Okay. So the other thing I want to do is we've been going through and I've got to do some of the thought processes here. And we've got to make sure we're facing the same direction. So if I'm going to be using so here's a thought process. I've got right here, I have so I minimize you so you can eat breakfast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
Sorry, folks. I was starting to get that front lobe headache.
No. That's totally fine. I'm just going to keep going as it was. When you're ready, it's all good.
Okay.
So clearly, I have decided to do Chang in the forward and Mayrel in the side. So I'm going to do this and just continue on with Chang going this way. So she's still got her pad that she's writing on right here. And then she's just looking up like so. What do you think, Lieutenant? Right, like that. And then I'm going to erase this panel and bring it down so that we can. I'm fixing some of the. What I'm doing is there were two passes on this. Right? We've got. Here we go. Fix that. Fix that. There we go. Sarah, sounds like a navigation error as she grabs a book to start writing in here. And then we'll keep the same look here with this because these two are talking to each other right here. So, right. I promise I checked twice, so we're kind of keeping the same panel. And then we've already shown Sergeant here kind of in this front view, but he's next to his radio equipment. So this is his radio equipment right here. Like so, just kind of indicate that we've got radio equipment kind of here, sort of things. Right. He says, can confirm. See you later. I'll send it to you. It's a big file, so I might have to email it to you. So when you've got a moment, Booma, just DM me your email address to the email, or DM me in Facebook. You can send an email to email at the bottom of the page, the bottom of this, whatever. Work. Okay, so we will. She's looking down here. She says, I can fly on instruments. And she's, so this is where we're going to have this conversation be back like this. She says, okay, Lieutenant, we're buttoned up, so you can do whatever you want here. And since we chose this, I'm going to choose this and really close. Like so. And we'll do something like that. Right? There we go. But again, I feel like if I'm have her in the profile, I should use a different. Nope. Undo. There we go. 20 light hour line, 2 minutes of subliminal. You're still here, Brent.
I quickly ate as soon as possible, so I'm back.
So now you're going to be sick to your stomach?
No. Just proves on how many children I grew up around.
Yep.
In my family. A lot of brothers and sisters means that you have to eat your food damn fast.
Right. Uh-huh. See? Could like total. Oh, Colton. Luke, it's Colton.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. Hey, Colton, I got 32 pages blocked out. I'm so excited.
That's a lot of pages.
Yeah, look.
Hey, Brent.
Isn't that cool? Look at that. Like all of these, 5 pages a row. And each one of them has got like complete blockouts of where we're going with all. And I'm working on my text and cleaning it up on the second pass.
Cool.
But we've got all 32 pages here of the first issue. And I'm so excited. I also discovered that this is the way I like to do scripting, which is weird.
Yeah, we all find our own things.
Yeah, I was originally, I've been doing scripting by, opening a Word document and, scene 1. Joe and Bob are in this room, and Joe says hi and Bob says hi. I've been doing it that way because that's the way you're supposed to do it. But the things that I've noticed was I kind of got frustrated when I went to actually block out the pages because I would misjudge how much space I had on the page to do a thing.
Okay.
So Bob would say, hi, Joe. I was going to the supermarket yesterday. Jim, he's from the supermarket, blah, 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 blah. And there'd be this long thing. And then I'd get in there and there's not enough room on the page in the panel to shove all those words in. And I was like, oh, so I ended up like going an extra page or something like that. And so they end up spending like 2 pages talking about the supermarket. And then later you're like, in the flow of things, this page slows the entire story down because they don't need to be talking about the supermarket or whatever.
So you're saying your problem is Bob.
My problem is Bob. So there you go. But yeah, but with this method, I know I've got, 4 pages for this scene. And I kind of want to have I start with blocking out the scene. I've got, Joe and Bob, and I blocked them out and yada, yada, yada. And then now I know that I only have like a half of a bubble to talk about the supermarket or whatever. Nice. So it's been really useful, really, really useful to do it this way. And it's allowed me to do something I haven't been able to do with previous comics because of scripting. It's allowed me to be very visual about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could say, okay, we're going in now, and now we're flying in a really rough area. Or I could just have her manipulating the controls and, shaking up as the atmosphere comes around it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be, I can visually see that I can communicate the information without having to, suffer the I've got to edit all these words out, whatever. So that's the thing.
Nice.
It's cool. I'm actually pretty excited. It's neat.
Nice.
So, yeah.
There's worse things that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I just
True.
I'm sure this is going to be ugly for people who edit my comic because any editors are going to have to deal with the fact that they're just going to get this JPEG.
Why are you sending us a JPEG?
Well, I mean, because it's going to be a 600 DPI JPEG that prints really, really, really tiny on a piece of paper. See?
This is why I put the script, like the written words, in a document, and then
that's what I'm saying.
And I send them the page.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to kind of get at is that this worked really well for me. The problem, of course, is how do you get to editing? Do I just retype the whole script out into a Word document now? Now that I've done all the writing in here on these pages, the writing's already there.
Well, if you're nice to your editor,
right?
Good.
Yeah.
Therein lies the rub. Do I want to be nice to my editor? Do I not?
Usually, yes.
Usually, you want to be nice to your editor. Yes.
We've been talking a little bit this morning about next week's transfer over to a nighttime show.
Oh, yeah.
Starting Monday, we're going to do a nighttime show.
Nice.
I have decided that I'm going to continue doing the daytime show as well, because that'll just give me 4 hours of work every day
until you can't do the daytime show.
Yeah, until I can't do the daytime show anymore, and then I'll depreciate it at that point.
Cool.
like Monday, I am supposed to go do or Tuesday, I'm supposed to do an audition for being the teacher. Because
Oh,
they
I was
make
like,
you go. They
audition
make
for
you
what?
go do a practice lesson with other teachers to make sure that you're doing
qualified.
yeah, to make sure you're qualified. But I've done this job before, so this is really just more of a busy work is what they're doing. It's just busy work.
No, that's cool.
So
They're
somebody's
trying to make
moving
sure
their
that
entire
you're-
freaking house.
They're trying to
this
make sure you
stuff.
still know how to do the job.
Yeah, make
Yeah,
sure.
they're
it's
trying to make sure
computers.
that you still know how to do the job, guy.
Yeah, I'm not worried. But that's going to be like Tuesday morning at 11. So I'm probably going to end my show at 10 on Tuesday morning. But if we go for every night from 10 to midnight, then I will have done 9 to 11 in the morning and 10 to midnight at night. That'll give me 4 hours a day of work,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. I think that's going to be awesome.
Hi there. EINM.
Hi there.
Sorry.
What ad are you looking at?
No,
He's going after porn again.
if it was porn, it would be very different.
It would be a different sound.
No.
So, anyway, that's my
it
thought.
was an advertisement that popped up for Caltech.
Caltech. Hi there. I'm going to college, and you should too. Pay lots of money to go to college.
No,
That's
it's
what I'm
saying it's basically go to college for what should I put it? For engineering.
Engineering.
But not just any type of engineering, robotics engineering.
Ooh. I'm not lying. I'd do that. I'm just saying.
How are they getting you on their market and not Guy?
Right? Definitely.
Because I look up stuff for Bill. I look
Brent's
up
got a
stuff for
point.
Bill.
By the way.
Yeah. I look up stuff for Bill, and when I do,
Yeah.
people think that I also am into computers and stuff.
That's fair.
So,
Okay, so the other thing I was saying was, yeah, it's for Bill. The other thing I was saying was that I'm going to make us a new opening credits and closing credits this weekend. And we're going to call it Quasar Art Collective. That way it's Quack. And Brian already made a duck icon. So he made this cool little picture of a duck in a spacesuit hovering above the planet, which I think is pretty cool. And I dig it. So we'll just call this Quasar Art Collective, and then it won't be so guy-centric, because right now this show is very guy-centric.
I already called him out for being a little bit self-serving.
Right.
Earlier.
But we were also talking about the fact that with Restream, I can only broadcast out to like 6 or 5 locations, I think. With this cheap version, I've got the $20 a month version. So I can only hit, how many? I can only hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 destinations. So if we want to add, say, Colton's Facebook page to broadcast out on, or Pepper's or whatever, we're going to have to up the payment scheme from the $20 a month to the $50 a month one. So just so that we'd have to discuss that or something. So that's a thing. Of course, you guys can always, link to or whatever and rebroadcast or whatever, or just link to the show.
True.
But there is a Facebook page for Quasar Art Collective.
Yes.
Quack. So I could broadcast to Quasar Art Collective, and that would at least cover all of us. But again, I'd have to unhook something in order to do that. Which I might do and just unhook the Guy Davis, my personal page, because it's right now going out on my personal page. I might unhook my personal page and hook up Quasar Art Collective instead. That's what I've been thinking.
Yeah.
And then that way it still goes out on all of the GS Davis art ones, which I only have 4. You know, the Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. But then the 5th one would be Quasar Art Collective. And if we want to do more than that, which I'm open to, I'd ask for more money. So, for example, Colton, I know that you're out on Twitch a lot. So
I hang out on there, yeah.
if you wanted to broadcast on Twitch at night, I could add that into the restream, but we'd have to get more spaces.
I could do that.
But I reserve the right, since I started this, to not unhook all of my 4 broadcast locations at the moment. That was sort of what we originally were going to do. Was everybody was going to do their own duck, and then only Brian actually made a duck. So since nobody else made a duck, I'm just gonna use Brian's duck.
Well, first, I just want to point out it could also just inspire us all to just make our own duck, and so that you have that.
Well, we could. Can you do it tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, because I actually have in mind, I already have sort of an idea of what I was thinking of doing for the opening credits, and it involved just one duck. That doesn't mean I can't do more, but I'd have to
So I gotta create myself as a duck?
No, just a duck.
Just create a duck.
Just create a duck. Let's see if I can't find the Quasar Art Collective icon that Brian made. Because he did somewhere along the line make this duck, which was funny. Let's see here. You know what might be easier.
What are you working on, Pepper?
My duck.
My duck.
He's like, I really want a duck. Okay.
Now I gotta make a duck. Guy wants me to make a duck. I gotta make a duck.
I actually don't really want you to make a duck. That's okay. I mean, you can make a duck.
Guy's saying I need to make a duck.
Right? Like, I technically don't want you to make a duck because it's going to complicate things. But that's okay. That's okay.
How is it going to complicate things, Guy?
Because now I have to make a duck.
Gee, Guy.
I didn't have to make a duck before. I was okay with all of us not making ducks.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, we got ducks.
Now we have to make ducks.
Yeah, I gotta figure out a duck now.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I was going to say, it's like really... Oh. Okay. I'm going back through all of...
Pepper, I'm blaming that guy.
Yeah.
You know what? Brian, resend the duck.
Also, by the way, going back to Brent's comment, isn't your wife your editor?
For me? Yeah. Yeah, although Booma did offer, he said he'd look it over. That's cool.
I know. I'm just saying, you're gonna make your wife's life harder.
For her, I just decided I was going to take 2 rows of pages and print them out sideways, so she'd be able to go through them. She doesn't mind. She'll go through it just fine.
Okay.
And it's going to be good because she's an ex-English teacher as well. So always a plus to have her go through and say, will you stop with the ellipses? You're driving me crazy. Because I have a problem with ellipsis. I have a problem. I'm just saying. I'm addicted to ellipsis.
Nice.
So, that looks like an ice cube.
Good. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Sweet. I'm done. I'm turning it in.
Right.
I said ice cube. That's all that matters.
Somebody said ice cube. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're all fine here. How are you? So
I don't want to do the opacity yet. I want to work on you. Kinda. Yeah. I'm so ready for school to be done. I don't want to work on these anymore.
yeah, you've literally been doing materials for a long time, like 12 or 13 shows now.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, this is the last week of materials, and then we go on, I think, to portraits for the last 3 weeks.
Yikes.
And I'm like, great, let's do this.
Okay. I'm going to intentionally make this text bubble encroaching on her head, because that's the way she feels about this. This guy is encroaching on her personal space. Just like, it's funny that way. Okay, fine. Or is that somebody else?
That was me.
Oh.
That was me. The company I work for decided to launch their promotional video for the next expansion.
Nice.
All right. So every so often, Clip Studio does this like reading thing where it stops and pauses. And when it comes back, I'm in the middle of a word or a letter or whatever, and it'll stop and then come back real quick. So, like in this instance, I put a question mark, but it stopped as I started to draw the curve and then came back at the bottom of the curve and it made it into an exclamation point.
So, very quick though, is that the autosave feature you're talking about?
Maybe. I thought I disabled that, but I may not have.
Because I know Clip Studio does that all the time where I'll like, you could set it up. It's for some reason mine's set up for like 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes it does it.
Yeah. Well, that's a different thing. The autosave is brutal. Like, that's a hit. This is a little bit of a difference. There's a minor stall. So it's a little different. Not a complete. So it's weird what it stalls on. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm just playing catch up right now with my materials because I decided to take one day off of classes one night
Right.
to help Brian out. Nothing against Brian, but I'm like, nope, now we got to make catch up time.
Mm-hmm. He sent the picture. Maybe I should make us our own folder. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my own folder for us. New folder. Quasar Art Collective. He's going to have to wait now because now I'm saving the thing. He just sent me. He's like, now I show up.
Who's
Right when I'm
guy?
trying to save the file, like all the windows for save are up, and I'm like, I hear boot oop, and I'm like, oh crap!
You're fine.
I saved your duck.
Good.
So
The duck should be saved.
yeah, I now have a folder called Quasar Art Collective. This was a name that was come up with like a year ago or something, and during one of these shows. So just so we're all familiar, I didn't come up
When
with
it was just me, you, and Raph.
That's right. It was just the three of us.
Just
So
the three.
I know
of
you
us.
guys didn't get like much input on it, but the truth of the matter is, and the mission statement of Quasar Art Collective is solely just to help other artists do stuff. So,
Hey, this is literally the same thing when RTG started, guy.
Yep,
I
yep,
just come
yep,
here
yep.
to draw.
exactly. We just come here to draw. I'm only saying that because don't want to get anybody like misunderstanding stuff.
I'll be right back.
No, you won't. Oh,
You
wait.
just got here.
Yeah,
You just showed up.
I just got here. I have other things that are happening.
Right. He just doesn't like us and he doesn't want to tell us.
Again. Yeah. He just hates us.
Puberty is a crazy thing.
It is. It's horrible. Colton.
Yes.
I was thinking of moving our artist check-in to Monday nights, the Monday night show.
Okay.
That way, it's Monday night, and we could talk about what we're doing this week instead of talk about what we did do last week. You know.
Okay. No words in a word bubble?
No words. No, I'm trying to general order 21. I'm trying to figure this out here. Don't speak to the captain, maybe?
Don't speak to the captain before captain has coffee.
Using right words with more than don't speak. That's it. You know what? This is getting too complicated. Because you're right. That's probably the best one. Oh, coffee 30. Don't speak to the captain prior to O coffee 30. Perfect.
So, how big is this? How big are the individual panels on this template guy for the
In the
comic
pages?
pages? Yeah.
I don't know. What do you mean? I don't. Well, hang on. I guess I can measure it. I have a measuring thing.
Pulls out actual ruler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it looks like we're about, I don't know, 300, 400. The pages are about 400 pixels wide.
Okay.
By, I don't know, about Well, my pages are longer because they're 750 pixels tall. So,
Sounds small.
yeah, it's tiny. It's they're roughs. That's the whole point.
Oh wait, your pages are?
Yeah, these are roughs. This is
Oh,
a
I
rough.
thought you meant the whole, like the whole page.
Oh no.
I was like, that's it?
No,
How are you getting that
it's
clarity?
it's individual pages within this.
Right. No, I know what
thing.
he's talking about now. After he said that, I was like, what? So that makes sense.
I'm just over here drawing my duck.
You keep playing with your duck.
Wah.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab more coffee.
No, you're not.
Nope,
You
gonna
just
look
got
at an
here.
empty room. I've been here longer than you. Oh no.
That's awesome.
Oh. Nude materials on dress gold. All right, be right back.
That's a hell of a Rubik's Cube you've got going there, man. Just saying. All right. I did a lot of cool rewrites, Brian.
Oh,
Yeah. That scene where we were trying to kind of figure out what Chang and Bennett were talking about, and they were like talking to each other, and it starts with Skipper and Skippy and Skip and all that stuff.
yeah.
I was having a hard time with it because everything I tried to get in there, it didn't work really well. And then I realized I hadn't talked a lot about the plot. So I switched them over to talking about the plot, and it actually made for a much better scene. And also gave us a whole bunch of connections to other things. So that was cool. Like they now talk about the fact that Moment is the only O2N2 planet in all of the Unity. So it's the only planet that humans can breathe on without assistance. And I got to mention the Commonwealth, which is the bad guys, and kind of explain how there's a political rivalry between the two. It turned out really nice. I'm just really excited. It just came up much better,
That's good.
So
That is very good to hear.
anyway, better thing there. And now I'm going through and just all of these things that were once in the script but not on here. I'm now writing in here because I actually really like these pages, and I think I'm going to use these for everything. Okay. So, look, midshipman, the Marines put you up to this, didn't they? Thought so. His response is, and she's like, yep, I thought so.
We're all quietly working on.
That's why I put music up. That is exactly why I put music up. This allows us to do all of our stuff. Wow. You getting old there, Colton?
I don't
It's
know.
them bones.
Right? Damn bones, damn bones.
Age is getting to me.
Dry bones.
Actually, it's probably my job's getting to me, but
His geriatric millennial is kicking in.
Oh, you mean Generation Y? Got it. Technically, I think no, Colton. I think you're too young for Generation Y.
I'm at the tail end of Millennial and Gen Z, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
What year are you?
89.
Yeah.
No, you're right in the thick of it.
Yep. That was my junior year of high school. I find it interesting though, because the older we get, the more this just becomes sort of academic. Like, okay, Colton's younger than me, but I don't really like see that as like a, well, Colton, you youngin, I have to talk down to you now, you know, or anything like that. I kind of like, it's just academic. We just kind of, it's kind of a funny, hey, did you notice that Colton doesn't know this reference from 1984 because he wasn't alive yet? But that's it. Like, that's all, right? It's like, I don't feel like I need to go, Colton, you youngin, you just don't understand the work that we're doing or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I had that conversation with a few people back when, like right before pandemic and whatnot, because they were always like, God, I just can't understand these like millennials. I'm like, and what's that mean? There's like, God, you're just different. I'm like,
You're not a millennial. Yeah. No, it's.
They're like, you understand it.
I am noticing that the technology is starting to creep away from me, and that is frustrating. You know, having been the kid that programmed
was all about
VCRs,
technology. Yeah.
You know, like, I know how to fix the VCR, Mom. I'll just do that real quick. You know, being that kid and now having phones that I don't know what's going on with my phone, and somebody just walks over and goes beep boop boop, and it works, and I'm like, really. You know, it's extraordinarily frustrating.
No, the really frustrating one is when my parents come to me and say, I don't know what's happening with the phone. Can you fix it? They hand it to me, and I'm like buckling up like I'm going into orbit trying to make it work, and none of my... Like, that was a new level of what the hell?
Right? Like, that's what happened with me and Dad. I mean, Dad would be like, I don't know what's going on with my phone. Here, you fix it. And I'd get it, and I don't know what's going on with my phone. So I give it to my kid. Here, you fix it. And he'd go, boop, 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 and he'd fix it. And Dad and I would look at each other. Then we'd look at him. and my dad even said once, he was like, well, this is why we gave you the VCRs to fix. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but that was 30 years ago, Dad. Yeah, it's like,
how the times have changed.
There, got my duck done.
Oh, cool.
Duck.
Dang it.
Show me your duck.
You're going to get us banned from YouTube.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
There's the ban button.
Yeah, there's the ban button.
Somebody pushed it.
You know, show me your duck.
I am setting it up so that I can.
Making sure it's presentable.
Yeah. Because, you need to make sure that everything's presentable. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. How do I send this? Do I just send it to you via the
You
chat?
can PM me. Yeah, you can just PM me. Don't send it in the chat here. I don't know how to get it out of this. PM me on Facebook.
I meant Facebook chat.
Yeah.
That's not Facebook. That's Tapas. I'm sure everyone else wants to see this duck. There you go. It's a ping. So there's no background.
I love it.
There you go.
Looks good.
It's a duck. It's a duck.
It's too bad that Pepper doesn't have any skills in drawing creatures. I say sarcastically.
I was like,
Wow, if a look could transmit the middle finger, it would be happening
It would be
right
that
now.
right there. I have saved your duck.
I'm feeling the pain.
Yeah.
And it's
The
not that
withering
me.
stare. The withering stare. The stares of withers.
Cyberduck.
Okay,
Or
go to
duck.
Quasar Art Collective on here and load it up so you guys can see it too. There we go.
There you go.
It's a duck.
It's a duck.
You gave him knees. I like the
Yeah, I
knees.
did. Technically, ducks do have knees. So do chickens.
There's Brian's duck.
Space duck.
I love
Space.
Space Duck.
I think I would title mine Halloween Duck.
Hollow Duck.
Hollow Duck.
Duckaween.
Duckaween. I think I like Halloween Duck. He's very formal. He wants to be called Halloween.
I like it.
Yeah. I have no business doing creatures, do I? Yeah, okay.
Too bad you suck at that creature thing,
Yeah, I know, right?
right? All right, there we go. Okay, go back and tell them that I gave you a good old-fashioned ass chewing, and then I shall avenge you later. That works.
Oh. I was like, you're doing what with who's what?
Yeah, no, I'm just rewriting. I'm writing in all of the dialogue that I just had a circle with nothing in it over here.
Mhm.
And so
Well, that's
that's what I'm doing now, is going through, and like some of this I just wrote one word to indicate what's going on in here. But now that actually my wife will be actually editing this, I probably should put all the words in, because she'll be like, "What did you mean by that?" I don't know.
I'll go into my corner now.
Where's all my information?
Now hear this. That's why I mentioned being subliminal. Ooh. Right.
How's your comic coming along now, Brian? Since we went over it.
It's coming along good. I took a break from it yesterday
Oh, good.
because apparently I needed a mental break from it, and I'm going to go back to editing issue 1 today and kind of get that finished off. And I'm starting on writing out issue 2 right now. That's actually what I'm doing as we talk.
Cool. And what are you up to, Pepper? Since you're done with your duck.
Yeah, pretty much I got an assignment yesterday from my main gig. Well, my only gig at the moment that pays me money, essentially. They gave out assignments, and so it's due on Sunday. So I'm just waiting for feedback right now. But they're doing their marketing thing right now, so I have to wait until they're done with that.
Mm. Yeah, because you said something about a video just dropped.
Yeah. So the game I work for is called MetaZoo, and they just had an update. Like they just had an expansion earlier this year, and now they're doing another expansion for the later part of the year. So
The card game MetaZoo?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So they just did. So they launched Wilderness earlier this year, and they just announced UFO through a video.
Oh, they really went for the Pokemon look.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at him because I'm like, I've heard the name. I've never actually looked at him though. But I'm like, oh yeah, they really did go that way. Okay.
Yeah, I've been
it's
with
cool.
them since the beginning. So yeah.
Hey, you're getting paid. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, like at the beginning, it was like a lot of people were like, "Don't deal with it. Don't do it. Don't it's just gonna hurt your career."
That's
and I'm just like,
how?
I don't. Well, let's just put it this way. Like, I really like when I start taking on assignments from them, I can't work on anything else
Because of their deadlines or what?
Yeah, their deadlines.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit more difficult to do comics and stuff. I've been trying to get like here and there. I've gotten some headway on some things, but like honestly, it's not easy.
Oh no, it's not. I'm just more like curious with like the people you're talking to. Like, it's gonna hurt your career. I'm like, how's it gonna hurt your career?
Well, one person said it would hurt my career in the sense of it will make me go too retro in the sense of like the style of MetaZoo is not the style that I normally do, and if people only see me in MetaZoo style, then it will limit my options of what I can and can't do for another company.
That's a lie, but yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a lie. But also at the same time, like if I leave MetaZoo for 2 years, I can't work for another card company anyway. That's
really
what happens if I break my contract.
Oh, if you break your contract.
Yeah, and leave.
Yeah, I find that one to be. I mean, like you couldn't even. You'd have to stop working with Earth Tau.
I already did though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
They forced my hand with that one.
Oh.
They basically told me that I can't. They don't want me working. They subtly basically said, "We don't want you working with anyone else."
Gotcha.
Which, based off the industry, that is a normal thing.
Yeah.
Well, if they pay the bills, good. If they don't pay the bills, I have a problem with it. You know what I mean? Like
They
if you
pay
pay me
me-
$2 and a cookie and then say you can't work with anybody else or do any other job, I've got a problem with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, this is totally you. Okay,
Yeah,
I see it now.
no, it's what I'm talking about is like they are still paying me. They brought all the artists on as like regular full time employees, and so
Mhm.
because of that, they pay taxes every single time they pay us. They take our taxes out of our checks. So
Yeah.
I'm no longer freelance anymore.
Mhm.
And so technically, the last time this happened, that means they can ask for me to be exclusive, and I they can basically tell me if I'm not, then they can let me go.
Yeah. but it's still just. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, if they're paying the bills, I don't mind as much. I mean, I still mind,
Yeah.
but not as much. Because if it's okay if they're like paying, let's say 1,500 or 2,000 a month, that's enough to minimal operable bill paying sort of thing. But if they're paying you like $100 a card and they only want 3 cards a month, and then they're saying you can't work with anybody else, well, that's an issue,
Yeah.
because that's not enough to pay any bills, and you can't get any more work. You're not allowed to go get work.
Well, and also I have the freedom to basically go, yeah, I want to take off for a month, and then
Well,
I can come back.
That's true of all of us that are
Mhm.
working in this industry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but how many of us can basically go, I'm taking off a full month of work and then go back
well, that's what I'm saying.
without any complications?
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like that's true of all of us in the industry that we're in. We're freelancers.
I understand the freelancer part, but like I'm saying I'm a full-time employee and I have that as an option.
Working for a corporation's different.
Are they
But
paying you a
also, they do
salary?
give you the benefit side of it that actually makes it fine.
Yeah, I mean, are
Yeah.
they paying you a salary? Because if they're paying you a salary, like I said,
No,
no problem.
I still all my things is through an invoice, so I send them an invoice, they send me a check.
Right,
But it's all based off contracts, and that's how the industry works. So if you're
I
signing
know.
a contract,
I'm just
you're
saying.
signing it. So it's not against anybody's morals.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that they're wrong. I'm saying the system's screwed up, because that's another one of those. The system is set up such that they can pay you $5 and a cookie and then say you can't do any other work either while we're at it. We want to
Right.
protect our IP, and we really want to monopolize your artistic talents. So we're going to monopolize your artistic talents, but we don't want to pay you. So we've
Well-
locked you into the situation where.
But it's
you
better
pay.
than the Disney one, in which anything you create, Disney owns.
Right.
That is true.
I'm not, like I said, not arguing that it's not legal, or
I never
I
said
guess
it was
none of that.
illegal.
Right. But I mean, like,
I never said it was
all I'm
illegal.
really saying is I'm starting to see the systems that are set up in our culture right now, whereby it is totally acceptable and everybody just accepts the fact that everybody is going to be working for $1 an hour and expected not to do any other work, and then somehow expected to buy a $700,000 house.
Yeah, but see,
sort of-
that's the thing. When you're into the discussion part of the contract, that's you discussing that part.
Right.
You don't have to just take whatever they give you. You can tell them, no, I want this, and they have to
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah.
A lot of those contracts, actually, there are people that come in, they're like, hey, we want you here doing only our work for 5 years. You can literally tell them, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't like that, because I have other stuff I've been working on that's personal stuff that I actually want to push out. And I can't have you guys owning that. And they actually have to agree with that, or you guys go your separate ways. That's how it works.
Yeah, Disney gets to do contracts like that because of the gravitas that you get as a career from working.
Oh no, there's
at
plenty of
Disney.
people that are in Disney that also keep their own intellectual properties too, because they discussed it before they got hired on.
Yes, but I'm just saying that Disney also can say, Colton, no, we're not going to
Yes.
do that. You can,
Then
you
I
can
won't
do it
work
my way
there.
or the highway, and people will still accept it because they'll
Mhm.
get the gravitas of working with Disney.
Well, not even just that. You're also looking at $60,000 a year, $80,000 a year just to be an artist.
Yes.
So
Which
that
would
is
be
a
fine.
living. It is a livable
That's a living.
wage.
That's
That's
totally
the
fine.
difference, though. Is they're still paying you a livable wage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's not a problem.
Yeah, they're not coming up and going, "Hey, guy, I want you to come work on the next Disney movie. By the way, it's only $1 an hour."
Right.
They can't. They will never do that. They're still paying you a livable wage to at least do it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not. Again, I'm not defending anything here, except that I'm starting to really get aggravated with the general system, which, I mean, already the general system has been stacked against us artists forever anyway.
Well, that's because
But-
my kid can go out and do that.
Right,
Why should I
exactly.
pay you?
Yeah. The other thing is for a while, what was it like? When I went to art school, everyone told me that graphic design industry was changing, and they were like, "No, print design's not dying. Print design's not dying. Print design's not dying." And I did a lot of print design. I didn't do the digital side.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got into the field, everyone was like, "So can you code?" And I'm like, "I went to an art school. We didn't learn to code."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh,
Well, you're useless to
you're
me.
a graphic designer." I'm like, "Graphic designers does not equal coding."
Right.
Like
You're
I had
looking
to
for a programmer, not a
I
designer.
totally
you're
get
looking
those
for a
all the
programmer?
time too.
I'm like, "You're looking for like," and they're like, "Well, do you?" And then when UI came up, UI became like this whole separate field within graphic design,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, graphic designer and UI, graphic design only partakes to UI design for like the physical, like what you're going to see.
But
But
that's
as far
UX.
as the back end UI,
UX
programming,
is
like
the
UIX,
part of that is the UX side.
yeah, the UX side is completely different. It's not the same thing.
For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, UI is user interface and UX is user experience.
Yeah,
And so there's two people involved in that generally. Your
Yeah.
UX guy is an artist of some sort who looks at the pages and goes, "You've got blue and red together and they're buzzing. You should never do that. This is a completely ridiculous loop of stupid that we're going through." The UI guy then codes all the code in. And the thing that bothers me is I put myself out there as a UX person and all I get's UI stuff. The same thing. You know, okay, well, what programs do you know? And I'm like, for UX, you don't need programs. I'm going to be using your web page, and if I can't use it, you failed.
Well, that's
Right.
also because UX and UI have merged together in the past.
yeah.
It's because now what they do is they hire coders that can do the UX part.
Well, actually, no, it's because they're training
Coders.
everybody in
Yeah, they're training
school
coders
for
for that.
UI design to know coding and design, and they're putting them into one category.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And the thing is graphic designers, when I was going to school, even for print design, graphic designers were not just graphic designers, like not just like typesetters and all of that stuff. We were being taught like things like copywriting and all of this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were things that we could and couldn't do, like we excelled in certain areas, and then you have your specialization within it. The thing is nowadays it just seems like every single with the art style and everything in general, it's like, no, you kind of have to do everything now for people because people took it as, oh well, my wife just downloaded Photoshop, she can be our graphic designer.
Right.
That's normal.
That's normal. Hell, if I'm going to pay someone, that has a degree and knows what they're talking about,
Yeah, I mean, there was one lady that I was at a Kinko's printing out pages for a show
Hmm.
at the time, or my portfolio. Which one was? I don't remember. It was when I went to California, and oh yeah, it was 2019. I remember now. It was when I was going to California. I was going to go see some of my teachers, so I put my portfolio together, and I went to Kinko's to print it all out. This lady said, he was like, "Wow, this is really good," and all. I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. I do like a little bit of everything. I do this, 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 and this." She's like, "Oh yeah, my company just hired me on as a graphic designer because they wanted someone that could use computers, and I don't know anything." And I was like, "You lucky bitch."
Well, and
No,
that's,
because
that's
she's
the other
cheap.
thing is, yeah,
No,
no,
it's also because she already worked at the company, so they just migrated her right into that position. Like, oh, here you get a new position.
yeah, it's, and the thing is there are people who, there are people who fall into that, and it's like, oh, great, and you basically tell them like, that's amazing, like that you got that opportunity, like don't mess, and like I've told people, don't mess up that position if that's what you want to stay in,
Mhm.
because it's very rare that it's offered to someone outside of a company when they get a job like that, because they don't like hiring an outside source. They
Right.
like overworking. A lot of corporations like overworking whoever's working there that may seem good for the job. So like they'll post publicly, but then they'll only hire it internally, and that's,
They posted publicly just look fair, but what they were actually doing is not.
yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's not been. It's
Oh,
still not fair, and it's still operating that way.
and
Mhm.
in some cases, they post it publicly to go, "Hey, look, we're hiring," so that they can get the tax incentives and write-offs and money from the government.
Right.
Like
Well,
that's the big thing that started to come out recently is all of the ones that are like, yeah, we're gonna pay for this this entry level position. We want, 5 to 10 years of working experience and all this other. It actually came off as a grift, and they found that a lot of those companies were milking the government to get
Of
money.
course. Of course they were.
Yep.
I noticed that mostly in any
Oh, hey,
businesses.
Bill.
Hey, hi.
I was like, that voice changed. Who's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
I've noticed that a lot in government businesses. They'll post positions and then they'll hire internally.
Yep.
Like I
Well,
worked for the school district for
they have to.
10, 11 years. I don't know, a long time. I worked for the school districts in Florida, and they would do that a lot
Sounds right.
because they're required to interview X amount of candidates, even if they
Mhm.
already have someone in mind. They have to, by law, interview X amount of candidates. So they'll
Right.
put the position out, they'll interview everyone, they'll tell everyone they weren't selected, and then they'll hire the person they really wanted.
Yep.
Yeah. But they did that in companies too. Like I worked for, I mean, private companies. I worked for Time Warner, and they did that all the time too because they had internal company policy that said that they were required to, go externally for new hires, and they do the exact same thing. They would,
Oh,
oh, we're
Brent
going to
has a
hire
point too. I mean,
you, but
contractors.
wait 2 weeks while we go through the machinations of pretending like we're hiring from outside so we can fulfill this requirement,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'd hire you.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
Yeah.
Brent has a point though, like with the contractor. I mean, that's kind of the goal with a lot of freelance artists as well when they're working for big companies like Blizzard or whatnot, is that hopefully they keep their contract afterwards and just hire them on full time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except that of course that's the other problem is that's because I did that for a while in the 90s. I was doing temp work, and that's exactly what would happen. I'd go
Mhm.
in and I'd temp out this.
You'd work for a year or two at this one company or a few months,
and I wouldn't even work for a year or two. I'd work like 2 months, and they'd hire me on, and it was
well, it all
great.
depends on what you're doing, but
Yeah, I mean, because like I was doing database work, and
Mm-hmm.
so like I was just really good at organizing databases, and so they would hire me on right away to do database work, and so okay, cool, no problem, hey, whatever.
That's
But
funny.
then,
I often hear the opposite from people who work contract work. They're like, no, you got to run that contract out because if you finish early, they'll just be like, okay, then we'll let you go now. and then,
Yep.
then you don't get paid all that amount of time you were actually hired for.
Well, that's the thing is things were different in the 90s.
Right.
I'm noticing that because I came back here from being in Japan and immediately did the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I'll just go to a temp agency, and probably what'll happen is I'll get
Do the
hired
Japan
on.
way. Yeah.
You know, I'll get hired on to some company as a DBA, and it'll be fine because I could do DBA work, and it doesn't interfere with me making comics. So. And I did. I went to every temp agency in like all of Denver and got one contract job after about 8 or 9 months, and it lasted 2 weeks, and then it was terminated. So I did the contract, I finished it, they terminated me, and then I never got called again or anything like that. I never got picked up. Nothing happened. And in that job, I didn't do anything bad. They needed a database migrated. So once it was migrated, they were fine. So they didn't need me anymore. So I migrated the database. It was fine. It was over on the new server, ran perfectly. Everything was cool. I made sure all of the things
Everything
were
all
tied back
worked.
together again. And then they were like, thanks. Good job. We really liked having you here, you know. But, you know, we're done.
You did
So-
exactly what we wanted in
Did
2 weeks.
exactly
Thank
what
you.
we wanted in exactly 2 weeks, like you were supposed to. So
Well, it's
they-
also the thing with temp agencies and companies, though. The reason why they like specifically in America, because we deal with it at my job right now all the time. We pay more for temps than them actually being hired on. So the faster they can get them out, the less money they're actually spending. But they
Right,
need them
well-
just for like specific, like for us during the holidays, we need all those people. We just hire in a whole bunch of people that are just going to be there for that time.
Sure.
Drop that extra money, and then we're like, all right, cool, you're gone. And some of them are like, if you want to get hired, you have to apply. And then most of them, they come in, they're like, I was making more money
Yeah.
not
I mean,
working for you
I
guys.
actually, and that was the other thing. I got a raise by being hired on.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't making a lot of money being a temp.
Some places actually pay more if they
yeah,
hire you, but like a
totally.
lot of them that I've seen recently are the other way around.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, I feel like things changed somewhere around 2000 or 2001 or 2002. Or maybe
Hi,
after,
Bill.
because something, bye Bill, like something changed right around the turn of the millennia. Because before that, that's exactly what would happen. I'd go work at a company, they'd think I was an awesome person, and they had actually an internal process to just bring me on. And they already had it set up with the temp agency and everything like that. So all they had to do is say, we'll buy out the rest of the contract and we'll bring them on and da 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 da. When I'm working with companies like I was working with Citibank and I was working with Time Warner, these are huge companies. So, what's an extra couple of thousand between friends here, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is sometimes when you get, because I've worked a lot of temporary jobs as well, you also get the downside of that, especially with the creative field, into art wise, where if you do well and you are well liked, some people I have find that threatening
Yeah.
and won't hire you because they are threatened by you.
Well, and there's all kinds of stuff that's going on that way. But
I
I
get
mean,
that too.
you know, like I said, I was working with a big company.
Yeah.
Big company.
No,
just-
I mean, I'm talking about bigger companies that have done that to me. Like,
Right.
I wasn't hired on, and I was like, is there any particular reason? I asked the temp agency, is there any particular reason why I thought I was doing really well? And they were like, no, it wasn't anything about your performance. They loved your performance. They did that. They just decided to hire on this person and this person and just not you. And I'm like, I was picking up the slack for these two other people nonstop. Like, why wouldn't they choose me? And they're like, I'm not
Politics.
sure. And then basically the agent that worked with them basically went back and got the answer. The manager was threatened because I was more efficient than them.
Yeah.
And the
It
problem
means
with
they
that,
would also probably have to look for more work for you all the time, and that's the part.
right. And the problem with that is there's also the other flip side with that. And this is what I'm about to say.
Can't
may
go
sound
past.
a little bit
All
wrong.
of us, don't speak about this to anyone, and
What I'm
definitely
about
don't
to
put it on
say
the internet.
may sound a little bit wrong. Unfortunately, it is by experience how I've seen it the most. It's usually a female manager that usually makes that call on.
Interesting.
Interesting. I don't know about that, but
It has happened to me more than once.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense too.
Yeah, and nothing personal. I like working under female management. I have a great time. I usually get along with them really well. I've been dicked over more often by management or leadership that has been women more than I have with men.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
They all have different experiences.
yeah.
So, but I'm just happy I'm no longer temping.
Yeah.
So temping is not easy.
No, it's not.
And exactly
You have to have a high
now.
typing speed and all kinds of weird stuff, which I
Oh,
do.
well,
I've got a
it's-
ridiculous typing speed,
I
which
wasn't even
all
that far.
comes from writing books, like
Yeah.
an inordinate number of novels.
Well, I'm just happy that temping is now different than it was when I was doing
it. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. So, but it's all good.
I'm trying to think. Have I ever really had a female manager?
In
Now that
my
you mentioned that, I'm like thinking now. I'm like, I don't think I've really ever worked for a female manager before.
I've worked for
3 or 4. I've worked for 3 or 4.
I've worked
I actually
for
have
about
detected no difference between the two.
I worked for 6, and of that 6, 2 I still talk to.
Yeah, I mean, like I worked for 3 or so female, 3 or so male, so it was about 50-50, which made some sense because I was usually, it was luck of the draw as to where I ended up. So
Yeah.
'cause as anybody who works
Mm-hmm.
temporary.
Now, in my experience, mostly I always got let go or whatnot because the managers were threatened I was going for their jobs,
Right.
and I was not.
Right. Like some people, when they found
And that's
out
usually
that-
my experience. They always got rid of me because they're like, nope, he's going for my job. I'm like, I was not, but also because I was like friends or I talked to people higher up than they did all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the one really bad male management person that was above me at one point thought the same thing. Like the fact that I was going to get an MBA at the time, and the fact that he was spending less and less time in the workplace because he was having health issues. He thought I was gunning for his job, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
At all. But for the other ones I was describing, like for some people it's super weird. I don't even know why they think, because like a lot of people think that I went after their job, and I'm like, but I never wanted your job.
Right. I mean, I've had that conversation with, what was it? So like one company I worked for, every 4 months or like that's every season, fall, winter, and all that,
Yeah.
they would rotate all the managers. And I finally got the manager that didn't like me. And as soon as he came in, a week later, I was being let go without any requirements.
Well, and that's the thing with Colorado. It's the same as Florida. They have a right to work thing.
Yeah.
So you can be fired or
And right to fire without a reason, which is fine.
You have a right to fire without
Mhm.
reason. However, you need to have a hell of a lot of documentation to, if you're letting go someone, technically you're supposed to have documentation of the reasons specifically why they were let go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and say Colton went to unemployment and they didn't give unemployment a valid reason, unemployment will force them to pay
Right.
the unemployment.
Mhm.
No, and I totally get that part too. I didn't do anything afterwards for that. I just went straight to my next job. I was like, all right, cool, bye.
Yeah.
like I took like a week off or whatever because I was like, this is BS. Like I was really mad. I was just mad because I'm like, why would he like? It doesn't make sense. I'm one of your hardest workers. I get everything done. No one ever has any problems with me. You're the only person that had a problem with me. And I knew exactly as soon as he jumped in, like he became that manager in that cycle. I was like, yep, here we go.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're done.
I even looked at my supervisor and I was like, so I'm not seeing you anymore. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, you'll see in a few weeks. And he did. He was sitting there in the office with him. He's like, what the fuck? How'd you call this? I'm like, I already knew it was happening.
Yeah.
But
I-
also, like, then I had another one. Like, I was, like, my longest running job I was ever in was for 5 years. And I would always go talk to the CEO, the CFO, because they would ask me, he's like, what could we do? Like, because I was the idea guy too. I would always come up and start talking to them about like, hey, this is how things are working. I think we can do things better this way. I don't understand why we're doing it this way. Can you explain it to me? And they would explain it more in depth because they have more of everything else in the back, like on the back end, and explain it all. It's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So like, I would talk to them constantly. Well, my boss didn't like that because he always thought I was going over his head. I was like, no, every time I ask you these questions, you don't answer anything.
Over my helmet?
So I would just go to the higher ones up. I'm like, all right, cool. Explain this to me how this works on the back end. I want to know more.
Right.
Yeah.
And they loved it. But like they were mad when he let me get, like he didn't let me go. I got offered another job that was paying more. So I was like, all right, here's my 2 weeks. He didn't even blink an eye. He's like, all right, cool, bye. And the CFO and the CEO were like, they were mad. They're like, he didn't even counter. I was like, he didn't say anything. He said, have a great day. And there's like, they were so pissed off at him. Nice hat.
Go over my helmet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually got pulled into one person's office and they were like, I didn't really appreciate the fact that we had to have this meeting. You went over my head and talked about me behind my back. And now I don't think, next time you have a problem with me, you need to. And I was just
address it to me directly. Yeah.
Address it to me directly. And I was like, well, I tried doing that, but you haven't been receptive to it at all.
Right.
And then he's like, well, when did you do that? And I did it. And I told him, he's like, you never did that. You're just making that up. And I'm like, first of all, you just basically pulled me in as an intimidation tactic. Now you're gaslighting me.
Yep.
No, this is not. No,
Mhm.
This is a stereotypical. This is a bully action.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, when you start seeing signs of those are usually the signs of people who are so insecure about their standing within a company that they're
I'm just a nerd, Brent. That's
Yeah.
all. You're like just a professional nerd.
I just find it. What I do find funny in the creative field is how often it really does show like stuff like jealousy and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
When it's people who are under certain people, like all of a sudden they're getting like nervous and jealous of people who work under them.
Or even people like partner wise, not even partners, but like people that like at shows specifically. I see this a lot. Like you're doing really well, and then there's like people you've never talked to ever, like a few tables down, and you could see them just like they're getting angry at you for nothing that you have control over.
Well, first of all, I have gotten mad at people at shows.
Hey,
Right.
real quickly, guys, can I ask for something real quick?
What?
Will everybody please look at your cameras and wave and smile? Thank you. I will now make new opening credits that involve the four of us at least waving.
Oh, we're
and
having the Brady
smiling
Bunch
and joking.
sequence. Nice.
Yeah, so we can have an opening credit sequence that has the four of us going,
And
"Hi,
off to Brian.
welcome to our show." That's all I really wanted
Now
was just
for
the four of
Pepper.
us smiling and waving.
Yeah.
Brent's not going to,
Yeah.
though. He just refuses on the grounds.
That's fair.
But
I'm going to cut all this background out, by the
Like,
way.
yeah, no, I mean, like being angry.
Hey,
like,
real
I've been
quickly.
mad at people at shows for random stuff, but like, I've never actually like. It's more the like they're just getting mad at you because you're being successful.
It's
I
not.
hate to
It's not
start
successful.
twisting this.
Okay, so I got mad at someone at a show who was taking pictures of their booth, but they would take pictures of cosplayers holding products
Yeah.
and
Publicity.
everything, and it's like, okay, but then I would see the cosplayers put down the product and walk away, but then they would post that they purchased them.
Oh, see, that's not cool.
Yeah, I would be mad about that too.
So,
So,
yeah, I get mad
hey
at
guys,
that type of stuff.
guys, real quickly. I want, before we go anywhere, well, we've got 4 of us on here because we're at 11 o'clock, and I'm not actually. My walking partner is still cleaning his work, so he's like, I can't walk with you today. So I guess I'm okay. But the question is, what do we want Quack's colors to be?
Halloween.
Wax colors.
Yeah, because
I
I'm going
say
to redo
Halloween.
all of this up here. I'm going to redo all of this that's blue and green. Blue and
The
green is
banner
Bellatrix
sides, okay.
Rising's colors.
I'm just gonna go off of what the current Facebook stuff looks like, and it's an orange logo.
So do we want to do black and orange?
I mean,
Sure.
I don't
I'm
mind
down
that.
for Halloween.
Cool. I don't have any problem with black and orange either.
Yeah.
I'm
So
okay still here.
I'm just making sure that before I start doing backgrounds and stuff like that, nobody is going to go, but I didn't like, black and orange or whatever.
I don't care either
since
way.
it's going to be our thing and it's going to be just our stuff, I figure might as well ask what the, at least, I mean, we don't get to, sorry, Raph. No, you don't get any say in this, but
I think Raph just wants to do the same thing me. Just come hang out and draw.
That's the entire intention, is to hang out and draw, but I do want to try to make it so that we are letting people know who we are, where we are. So if it gains ground and people start seeing it, they can start finding us out there. So I'm going to put like all of our information in the end. Yeah, purple, orange, red, and yellow.
I should change my Twitch name then.
Yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Also, all 3 of you, and Raph, if you watch this later, in the daily show thread that we all have, please give me all of your social media stuff that you want me to further.
Right.
So if you want me, because like for me, I'm easy, I'm branded. So you can just find me at GS Davis Art everywhere. But I know that not everybody has that,
I am, except for like my Twitch was, when I was setting it up, as just like a streaming gaming thing. So it has my gamer tag.
Yeah.
So I'm
that was what
I
my
don't know if
DD
I want
art
to,
was
but at
for
the
a
same
long
time, like I want to switch over, just do it as an art instead. So I might just switch everything over to do that. Just make it, because all my other stuff's already under Colts Art. My website, my Facebook, my Instagram, all that stuff, Twitter.
Just make sure you put it in the thingy so that I can do it. Because if you don't put it in the thingy, I'm going to forget or spell it wrong or something horrible. And it takes. Okay, so the other thing is, this weekend I'm getting rid of Creative Cloud. So I don't have Adobe Premiere after this weekend. So this is it. This is all we're doing. My Premiere account, I'm going to shut down Premiere after this weekend. So I'm not going to be able to do, if we do the opening and ending credits and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. There isn't a Quack website, but we do have the page on Facebook. Do you want to make a website, Brent? It'd be good as a link tree.
Yeah.
A link tree would probably be a little bit easier, because then that way it can show.
It has everything in there.
We're at.
And as people decide, I don't want to do this anymore, or I've retired, or whatever, we can take them out of the link tree.
That works.
Yeah.
So we should probably just start a link tree for Quasar Art Collective and then just run everything out of that.
Cool.
So. Hey, nope, I do not want to.
I'm doing mine right now. You can put that as a future project if
Nope.
you really want to go that far.
Nope. Boy, that was fast for Brent to nope out of that one.
But yeah, no, for
He
like,
noped out of that one like that. I don't blame him. If you'd asked me to make the website, I'd be like, nah, I did that.
Since we are getting closer to when I actually have to leave, though. But yeah, for that stuff, like I'm down for whatever. I don't care. I'll
Yep.
come up with a duck for you.
Okay.
I'll make a duck for you.
Okay. Yeah. So, because at the moment right now, what I'm thinking is I'm going to use Brian's duck as the logo and Pepper's duck as the colors. And then that way we've got that. So you can add a duck and I'll find something else for it to be. And then I'll put all
I
the
thought it
ducks
was just
in
gonna be
the
like
credits.
our face logos or whatnot. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to
this
put
is
all
who
the
this
ducks in
person
the
is.
end credits, but I think that for just the base logo, because we're not going to be able to put 1,000 ducks in there. Unless
I'm
we all
excited
decide-
for like being at night though, because that's usually when I'm more productive.
Yeah, me too.
Like
I'm more
mornings, it's like
productive.
I'm awake, I'm trying to get some stuff done. I'm good at, and just jumping in here helps out a lot. But like at night, especially specifically between 10 and 12 or later,
Yeah.
I'm usually sitting here just working on all my stuff in that time frame. Like I was talking to Brian about that. What was that, Tuesday?
So
I think
Quack,
it was Tuesday night.
Quack, just so
Yeah,
we are
I think
all
so.
on the same page, Quack has literally 2 missions. Mission number 1 is accountability, and mission number 2 is to just get us out there further. And that's it.
Cool. Just have
So-
fun.
I actually bought when Humble Bundle did their little thing. I went and bought all of the Corel stuff, which came with Vegas Editor, and I haven't spun it up yet. I haven't tried it yet because really I haven't had a need for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build our credits in Vegas this weekend and see if I can do it. And if it gets too frustrating, I can move to Premiere. And if it doesn't get too frustrating and I'm able to throw it together in Vegas, we should be fine. But I've been doing editing since the 80s. So
Going to Vegas?
yeah, what is that? What is the
Or is the program called Vegas?
yeah, it's Vegas.
Oh, I thought you were going to Vegas. I was like,
I'm gonna go to Vegas this weekend.
nice. All right. That's the
No,
place
no.
I never thought you were going to, but all right.
Yeah, I know. I've been to Vegas like twice, and both
Same.
times I'm like, what the hell are we doing here?
I went to Vegas the last time I went, I think was 2018, 19, something like that. I had
Yeah.
fun, but like literally after like the first day, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
The Star Trek experience would have been the only reason I would have gone to Vegas.
We just went for my friend's birthday, and I had
Yeah.
a blast for like the first day, and then
Maybe
after
it is
that, I
Da
was just
Vinci.
like, I really don't care anymore.
Maybe it's Da Vinci that's in.
And then my
I-
last night there, I gambled and had a good time, lost $60 and left.
I am actually. I am not like I have no aspirations to go to Vegas like at all.
The
So-
shows were cool. That was the one thing I did like. The shows. That was it.
I wouldn't mind going and seeing the shows.
But like
Yeah.
gambling in that, I worked in the casinos. The whole gambling world, I've seen the dark side of dark side of it that I'd never want to go back to that.
Hey, Guy, I have a question about this template, real quick.
Even though I can easily go that direction if I wanted to in games because
Yeah, Brian.
slot machines are a thing.
What
Yeah.
are the 3 green pages at the bottom of the template? What are those?
Pages 33 through 35. We have 32 pages that are standard, so I just figured those would be the pages of
Expansion pages, just in case.
expansion pages. It could also be inner, outer cover, and cover. So
Okay.
it could be, you can make that the inside of the cover pages or whatever if you wanted to do that, and the back cover or something. But yeah, it's expansion pages. It's 5 to a row, and I was duplicating all the rows, and I got to the bottom row, and I'm like, well, should I delete those 3? And I was like, you know what?
No,
We
they
might
make
use-
sense.
Yeah, we might use them. Who knows? So you'll notice though they don't go on the track on the left side, so the track doesn't go below those.
Yeah.
So because the story track should end at 32 if you want to stay on target for being able to print a 32-page comic. Because if you expand past 32, you're going to have to go to the next grid up, which is 36. Because you'll need to add 4 pages to the print. Or at least that's my thought process on this. Sorry,
No, it
Colton.
works for me.
What?
Cutting you off.
Oh no, you're good.
So anyway, yeah, the Corel suite. now that we mention this, I'm going to spin this up because I actually don't think I have. So I'm going ahead and spin that up since we're continuing on past this at this time anyway. Might as well spin up my email and find the rest of the Corel Suite stuff because there was a whole thing about Corel there on the Humble Bundle. All right.
I got to take off. So
I was going to say, somewhere along the line, we all got to go.
I got to go. You guys can keep doing your thing.
Yep. Well, if any, okay, now that you wait, before you go, Colton, before you go, does anybody want to retake that waving at the screen thing, or was everybody happy with what we did? Knowing that I'm going to use that in our opening credits.
Oh, no, I like Pepper's window right now.
Pepper, that's the.
There we go. We could just dance.
We can do this. Like we can do like a silly one.
I'm okay with that.
All right, start recording.
I'm just going to save this entire recording and then just cut it up.
Okay, I got called for lunch, so.
Okay,
I'll see you guys later.
We'll talk to you guys later, and everybody else, remember, we start next week. I'll be doing a morning show and an evening show, but Monday night. So Monday night we're going to move all the guys over, and we'll do our normal stuff Monday night, and then I'll keep my show
Monday
going
through
for
Friday,
about a month, and then I'll retire it.
Okay. Cool. Monday through Friday.
Monday through Thursday, and then Friday I probably will do my day show.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that'll work. Cool. Because like Friday night I go hang out with Troy, and I was like, do I really want to be here instead of going and watching movies with Troy? It seems like a bummer. So
that's fair.
Monday through Thursday night, and then Friday I'll do a day show and then rerun it at night if we need to.
Hey. Brent's going
Go on vacation in Florida. We'll see you later, Brent. And we'll see you in a week and a few days, Brent.
Well, only if it survives Florida.
Only if you survive Florida. And then the laughter starts. Okay, go survive Florida, Brent. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again next week. And remember to keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye. Computer, good night.